I got her some food. I didn't have no space or something like that, 'cause I ate it all up myself. I said, oh man. So I gave her something like beans or something like that. And she'd give her, I said, oh, wait a minute, hold it. You can't go away. You know, you can't walk away. I said, you have to eat them here. You know, like I said, I tell you what, I eat my peanuts here and you eat yours. That's the only way I can give them to you. Okay, so I opened them up for her. And she didn't talk. She didn't speak no English. And I just sit there and we didn't say nothing to each other. You know, she said, I told her, no, come back, you can't do this. So I opened them up for her, gave her her peanuts back. And then I opened them and I said, don't she? I said, no, stay. And she was all confused. You know, what I was trying to do was I was going to open up her, you know, food for her, and then I was going to take the peanut, and then what we did, I said, you eat now, you eat now. And I ate the peanuts. We sit there and ate the peanuts together. But I, let her eat all the food. But then I took the can back. I said, you can't have a can. She gonna tell us, no, you give me the can. So I give her a can. So I took all my peanuts, put them in a bag, like a trust thing, I took all of them and threw it all into this little bag I had. And then she stood there looking at me, and then I think she's curious, why she look at me like that? But anyway, she went on about her business. And this went on for a long time. Every time it got to be a regular thing, every time I would see her, I got to know her name. That's about all I knew. Her name was Miley. And she called me by my first name, Wade. And then we just ate food all day. One day she came up to me and I was trying to trip it. I said, wow, why is she looking at me real hard again, And she came up to me and touched my hair, And then I said, oh, that's why she been looking at me so hard. My hair, being a black person. I don't know if this child had ever seen a black person, black but not funny hair, like kinky hair like I have, So I said, oh, so I just took her hand, and she laughed, and she started laughing and stuff. And then I started trying to teach her little words. That didn't last too long, and then next thing we was off, we had got finished with that operation. And then that's when all the stuff in Vietnam began to start to escalate just a little bit more than it had been. I hadn't been really having no big fight. We had got some sniper fire and stuff like that, but we hadn't got no ambushes, none of that. And but that was soon about to change in a few more days from now. My squad leader, Sergeant Henderson, that time, he was my squad leader then, and he was teaching me how to walk point, but he would never let me get too out of his eyesight or get too far ahead or stuff like that, and we'd have our little signals together and stuff. He was a brother from southern states, somewhere, because we always used to talk. No, he was from Philadelphia or someplace easterner, but he had lived in the South for a while. And then we were walking point one day. Matter of fact, our platoon was walking point, and all of a sudden we got mortar. We got people. I saw people getting hit, people getting killed. And then all of a sudden, I hear Sergeant Cornell Johnson calling in artillery, and I was hearing Bravo 1, this is Bravo 6, over. And the next thing I know, we had the guys laying around dead everywhere. Like I said, that was the biggest fire. Maybe about 3 or 4 guys got killed that day. And I said, God, that's what this is all about. And I was sitting there and almost froze. And so I said, God, move it. And we got surrounded. Come to find out, we had been surrounded. And the rounds that was coming in, they got bigger and bigger. I said, why are these rounds so big? These guys got rounds like what? Come to find out, it was like we was a company strength, and we had got surrounded by the Viet Cong. And what they had done, they had to call in the white phosphorus, what they call Willie Peter nickname, and they had called it in so close that was right on top of us, because it's all like 100 meters, and they in with us, and scrapple was going everywhere, flying through trees, cutting trees in half. And more, I said, oh no, this is the day. And then I come to find later on that Sergeant Cornell Johnson had called the artillery on top of us because then he was smart, real sharp, called in right on top of us within, I don't know, at least 50 minutes, because I saw a round go off in front of me. It just was like, I mean, the big old hole in the ground and stuff, and I said, oh man, shrapnel flying through. And then he took the artillery and just walked it back out 25 meters or 50 meters at the time, and it took it around the perimeter, and he messed up all kinds of VC. And then about a month later, for his action, he got the Silver Star from President. His name was Johnson. And we used to call him Sergeant Johnson and Johnson because they had took him out of the field and they sent him back to Cameron Bay to get a decoration. And he got the Silver Star for his action that day. And boy, he was a really, really sharp man. And after that, I just come to anything he say do. Hey, I ain't got no problem with you, Sergeant Johnson, you know. And he got Silver Star from President Johnson. And that's why we gave him the name Sergeant Johnson and Johnson. And yeah, that was my first encounter with the Viet Cong. But like everything else in life, everything was changing. So was Vietnam. The war was escalating. We was still operating out of Cu Chi at the time, you know. It was the 25th Infantry Division. And we started pulling operations in the Hobo Woods. They call it Hobo Woods and the Iron Triangle. Hobo Woods is where the VC used to set up their camp at in division size, battalion size, brigade size would all be in there. And what they would do, they'd take the 52s and go in there and bomb them out. And then we'd have to go in there and sweep through the area. And then we always got a lot of casualties. A lot of casualties out in Iron Triangle. The Iron Triangle was where the Mekong River made like a horseshoe. And it was like almost like a peninsula, but it was a huge area. And we used to see it from the sky when we was coming in on our LZs, on landing zones. And boy, it used to be a sight to see. You could always see all the big craters, you know, from the sky. You could see the craters where the 52s had dropped, trees uprooted, and then that's where you always knew where you was going, because the night before, wherever you hear that thunder from, wherever sound that thunder come from early in the morning, about 4 o'clock, that's where you'd be going the next day. That's where you just look, well, that's where we're going today, guys. And out there, we had some real heavy-duty battles out in there. Matter of fact, the strangest thing what happened when we first got there, they went down and they couldn't figure out where these people were going. You know, we'd heard about tunnels and stuff like that. But boy, we looked around, and I don't know, can't remember who it was, but one of the guys found an opening. It was just a little small opening. It was in between bamboo trees, you know, like base rolls. And they're about 2 feet wide, but they're real thick, and they just run long, and they separate the land from, like, you know, from people who hold water back and stuff like that. So he found this hole, and so they went down in there. They found a hospital, found a doctor that had been operating in that area since Dien Bien Phu, when the French was there way back in the 50s. This guy had been in the field for something like 30 years, and he was just tired. He said he was tired of fighting war, patching up people, and then I said, there's something else. The guys come back up, and I was the type of guy, you know, I get claustrophobic by going into closed places and stuff like that, but when they was coming back and telling these stories, I finally squeezed down through that and looked around, and man, they had facilities in there. They had beds. I mean, it was clean because it was a hospital. And I said, man, in the middle of nowhere, they ain't got no trails coming to where we found this opening. How did these people do this? And we saw blood. They had to escape through some kind of way. We saw blood everywhere. We saw where their bunks were at and stuff. And I'm looking around at all this stuff, poorly lit with candle lights and stuff like that. Where their kitchen was. They had It was, I don't know, it must have been a good city block. You know, up underneath the ground, down maybe 20 feet down underneath, you had to come down these bamboo. It's like a cave is what it was, but it was like, and it was dry down there, and it just blew my mind. I said, hey man, how are we gonna beat these people? You know, I'm thinking way back then before all this other stuff. And these people, man, they are dedicated. And then one of those first sergeant was telling us later on, these people been fighting war for practically 2,000 years, you know, and they never been defeated, you know. And I said to myself, I said, oh Lord, here we are again, doing some more stuff that I ain't supposed to be in. And those nights, things were too much, just too much for me. I said, oh Lord, have mercy, what's gonna go on here? Then okay, after this, we're still sweeping, and they're still sweeping. And Bon Charlie seemed to have something for everything he wanted to do. That was my first ambush I got into coming up. So we was walking on line, not in a single file, just walking on line. Everybody walking on line, sweeping and covered as much as guys about 10 feet apart, 5 feet apart in some areas, because the jungle be so thick and you got to move it in close to sweeping. And Bobby got caught up in this ambush. I come to find out later it was an L ambush. L ambush is probably one of the most dangerous ambushes you can get into, because if you run the wrong way in an L ambush, you could run right into their main firepower. And so happened to know that, there goes Sergeant Johnson again, backed us up, because we know where we had been. So in order to get out of an L ambush, you got to back up, just retreat. And just keep backing. But by the time we retreated, we done lost about 5 or 6 guys and all kind of guys wounded. And we still ain't seen the VC. Haven't seen trace hair of him. The only thing we got from him was the sound of bullets and RPGs firing from 2 different positions. One was on the left-hand side of it, and one was running right straight of you. Right in front of you, and one is running alongside it, and you don't know which way to run. But then Sergeant Johnson had been in those type of ambushes. He just retreated, and we was able to get out of there. But boy, we had all kind of casualties. And I said to myself, I was like, oh, here we go again. And during that time of stuff like that, anytime we get a lot of casualties and stuff like that, and the morale get down real low. And they would take us out of the wood. They'd send in choppers, and we'd go back to the original base camp. And then the base camp in Vietnam was the only thing they'd be getting back there was a little mortar every once in a while. And it was like it was like almost like coming home in a sense, because back in base camp, you know, you was able to take a shower, you could go to the movies at night. You know, they played like drive-in movies. We just had seats and stuff like that out there. You go to the EM club and get drunk, or whatever. And that's when I found out that my addiction started then, because I remember going into the bar and guys, well, how you been in the country? I hadn't been in the bar at that time, because I'd been out on operations in the field. How long you been on the field there? Soldiers? Not too long. So I come to find out they used to make these drinks for the new guys. And you know, what if you drink the light drink like a gin, they would put vodka in a gin. They'd put about 3 or 4 different types of light liquor, hard alcohol in it if you drink hard alcohol. And if you drink dark alcohol, they'd put 3 or 4 different kinds in, and they used to call it ambush. And say, you know, since you've been in town, this is on the house, but it's one thing about getting this first drink on the house, you got to drink it down in one shot. And it would be just a shot. It would be a shot, but the shot glass would be full. And, you know, you'd smell it. I always smell like I always see where it is, and I could kind of tell what it was about. I said, boy, that sure is strong, man. This rock, you know, Sam don't serve no rock good alcohol to nobody, man. That's good liquor. So I swallowed that thing down, and boy, everybody looking at me, and I ain't paying no attention. And bam! It's like hit the top of my head. You got an instant drunk off of it, because it got all these different 80-degree alcohol in it, 70-degree, 80-degree, what all the amount of alcohol they got in, all the way up to 151 long. And you drink a shot of that, boy, and that stuff will get you so I mean, messed up, and after that, you don't want nothing to drink. I mean, you just pass me a beer. It's just too much. And that was right there. Every time we come back in base camp, we all used to get drunk and tell lies and about what we had back in on. The guy had a car. It would be a brand new car. It wouldn't be no old car. It would be if he lived somewhere, he was buying his home, or people just basically lying. You know, just like the guys sitting around as they shooting the breeze. But it really is like they say, women always they say women gossip, but men shoot the breeze. They don't gossip. But that's what we were all doing, talking about what we had and what we was doing, what we was gonna do when we get back to the world. And so I began to, every time I come out to base camp, I used to do that. But that was some good time at base camp, too. I never got to see no Bob Hope shows. It seemed like I always was in the woods. But we did get, they even had portable swimming pools where you could go swimming and stuff like that on the base. This was in Coochie, though. Coochie was a real big, that was a home of the 25th Infantry Division. It was a real big base. And they had all kind of people there. And I tell you, it was a different time, but those days didn't last long. You was in about 2 or 3 days, and that was about the most, and then you was back out in the boonies again. And that was something else that I found out, too, about, you know, we used to go back after we could leave out of base camp. So I know 25th Infantry Division and Manchus, and people don't, you know, I think a lot of people don't realize that the military put out more alcoholics than any other probably profession you can get in. I remember when they used to bring out beer to the field every day, just like when they bring the child in the afternoon and stuff like that. They bring soda, beer. They have one big thing of sodas, a garbage can where they just bring it out in a garbage can full of ice and stuff like that. And you'd have all kinds of beer, and you could get to whatever the amount of people was in your company. That's how many beers you got, you know. And sometimes you could get 2 or 3 beers. Especially guys that drink beer. I trade soda, cigarette, anything else. But I drank beer every day practically the whole time I was in Nam, you know, and I didn't really realize at that time that that was my first step of really becoming an alcoholic. When I left country, I was an E2, but also in the Army, as soon as you left country, no matter if you was an E1, E2, because they didn't have no E1s, E2s unless you was busted, lost rank because of some disciplinary action. And then as soon as you got in the country, you became a PFC E3. And I had been in country then about, I don't know, maybe 4 months. And then I was like squad leader. I was still walking point. I walked points for my first 6 months. Even after I was squad leader, I still would walk point. I just didn't trust the newer guys that was coming in. So I did it myself until Sergeant Henderson told me, man, you got to start training somebody, man, because, you know, your trust, you got to get your trust level, because, man, you know, like I know what it is, because I walked point 6 months myself, you know, Pittman, you know, I was specialist 4 then, I was E4. And so when I started training my friend Streams, that he was from Monroe, Louisiana, and he had lived in Berkeley, but I didn't know him when he lived in Berkeley, but we became friends because we used to talk about all the streets and stuff that we used to know back in Berkeley. So he came in country about a month after I did, and I was teaching him how to walk point. And boy, I tell you, that there was some rough times in there. And one day we were in base camp. We had set up base camp for the evening and everything, and just show how faith goes. The guys was all bitching and moaning, you know, like all the guys, but a couple of guys moaning about, you know, the cigarettes, you know, like, why is all you give me these little Pall Malls, Pittman? And, you know, I don't like no non-filters. I like to smoke filter cigarettes, you know. So I just got tired of moaning and moaning, moaning and groaning. So I said, hey, here, man, you can just take mine. I don't want to hear you the rest of the night, because I got to write my letters and just settle in for the night. And we start pulling duty. I gave out the duty with all the guys going to be pulling duty for the night, for watch, so you can stay away who's going to be on LP and so forth. And just as I was passing the cigarettes to him, a round hit him straight between the eyes. Bam! And I saw him, he just held up to the cigarettes, and boom, fell back into the bunker hole. And I stood there and I froze. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even move. And Streams jumped up and took my feet off behind me. He just said, I could hear something like a dissonant calling until I get down. But I just couldn't believe that here I was giving this cigarette. In fact, a cigarette to this guy, exchanging a cigarette because I was going to smoke a Pall Mall. And I think it was Winston's, I forget, some Winston's. They had filters on them. And he just took the cigarette out of my hand and fell back into the bunk, and I just looked at him as he fell. It was like a slow motion action you see in movies. And Stream knocked my feet off underneath me into the bunker. And I thought, man, later on, as I went through life, I said, golly, because to hit him in his forehead, and I'm facing him, the sniper was aiming at the back of my head. But it hit him between the eyes. How close to death can you get? And that scared me. That put a lot of fear in me. But I try not to let my people know that I was scared. But I got over that fear. And some things that I will let you know how later on that I got out of that fear of death. There are also funny times in Vietnam too, like you'd be sweeping one day. I remember we were sweeping it and we had to go in this village, but they had one side of the village was being swept, and we was on the front part of the village in case somebody come running out or anything like that, where we just had to fire them up. We had to kill them. And but nothing was going on. We were sitting in the hot sun, and all of a sudden Sergeant Hinson jumped up. Oh, he was jumped up. He was running. He was jumping. He was down at the bottom part of his leg. Then all of a sudden he'd be going underneath his armpits, and he was going down his pants by his private area. But he was just going on his back, and he was going everywhere. Come to find out, and then he starts taking all his clothes off. He was taking all his clothes. He got out his shoes, boots, his shirt, and he was standing in the middle of the dyke with nothing but his shorts and stuff on. Everybody was just laughing. What's wrong with this guy? I went crazy. Couldn't find out this lizard had got into his trousers some kind of way, and the lizard was trying to get out, and it was scaring him to death. He threw all his guns, so we was laughing. We was just laughing for days behind that. And well, for weeks after that, we used to say, "Hey man, watch out! I think I see a lizard," And boy, everybody started laughing because they knew he'd give you these dirty looks, like, But it was a way of trying to keep our spirit up by picking on a guy about something like that. But that had to be one of the funnest things that I'd seen in Vietnam since I'd been there, seeing Sergeant Henderson and the lizard. It was a funny action. There was another time too that I remember Lieutenant Millie, our lieutenant. He was a platoon leader, is who he was, and he used to buy cigarettes. He didn't smoke cigarettes. He'd light one up, but he wouldn't smoke them. And then when we got these big red ants, would be in the field, and they get these leaves and they make them in big balls, and they'd be red ants. They call them fire ants. And they're big. They bite you. They put webs all over you and stuff like that. So I told him, this lieutenant one of these days, I said, those ants gonna take revenge on you, sir. Because ants, I remember ants when I was a kid going off of Mississippi. And we used to play with them, and next thing you know, they'd be all over you, and they eat you. So sure enough, I said, you know what you're talking about, Pittman. He was like, they got to have something to pass the time around here. So he was talking like that, so he kept picking these ants. So I said, hey, Streams, look at Lieutenant Millie, man. I said, look, what's happening to her? He said, what? I said, those ants is getting in his pants, man. And this is the strangest thing that I've ever seen, and we just sit there, it must have been 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes or something like that. It went a long time, but they got all inside his pants. And his eyes, he kind of looked around his eyes, and I kept watching. Me and Stream kept watching. I said, come on, Stream, watch me, man, watch this, man. And when those ants hit him, I don't know what it is about ants, but I think they sent like a signal throughout his whole body, because boy, he was doing the same thing Sergeant Henderson said. He was cutting his clothes. And we we are in thick jungle flying, and M16 going on one way, there's hat, helmet, boots, and shit. Dumb ants ate him up alive. They had to call the medics, give him some salve and stuff like that. And so, then we had to be real discreet about how they pictured him, because he was a squad leader, he was an officer, so I used to say all the time, because he used to bomb cigarettes, and I said, well, so would you like to have a cigarette? You look at me like, don't push it, Pittman, don't push it. You know, so I had to find some kind of way to kind of like peek at him, but it had to be in a discretion way, you know. But that was another funny time, you know, you come find out later on, there's a whole story behind Lieutenant Mildy, and that's a whole different story that I will embark upon later. Nightmares, flashbacks behind Lieutenant Mildy. His story, he got a story that I have to tell later on, but it's not part of the book right now that I want to get into. By now the war was picking up even more. You know, at the time the 25th Infantry Division was in Cu Chi. The main camp was in Cu Chi, and we moved in about 70 clicks from Saigon north. We went in north up near the Cambodian border, near Kontum and the mountain called Nui Ba Din. It was a strange place. I said, dang, this looks different. We have moved up. It wasn't the flatlands like down in the Melcondela where we had been used to being in a lot of water. It was like in the land that was in between the mountains and the flatlands. It wasn't a lot of hills, but it was just one mountain sit in the middle of nowhere. It was like a mountain in a desert. And it's called Nui Ba Din. And on the top of this mountain, we was told that the Green Beret Patrol, and that's what they had. You used to see the choppers flying there late at night. And then in the middle and in the base of the mountains, there was the VC, the Northerner, but they really never had a whole bunch of firefights. It was just like, I guess like it was in World War II, where you had neutral country. Switzerland was a neutral country, and I guess that mountain was kind of similar to that, where you know, you didn't mess with me, I don't mess with you, but the VC ran guns out of there, but it was a tower. Come to find out that the mountain was, and the United States had these big towers, because we flew over one day, and I could see why they used it, but that was a communication system, satellite system apparently, that was set up on that mountain, because they had all kind of radar stuff up on the top of there. And it was like I never understood that. And then later on it changed because they overran it a couple of times. And one of my friends that was trying to get out of the war zone by playing crazy, and they took him up there to he was going to become a cook because he had been in the field right here, but he was playing all these crazy roles, religion, and all these things. And so they finally, everybody just got tired of hearing him, so they sent him up there. And they got overran, and the story that I got back from him, they had found him inside the freezer. Inside the freezer, they had chopped him up like he was the rest of the whole. They chopped his body up just like he was a piece of meat. And I said, that showed me right then. And I said, hey, you can't run in this country. You're going to have to fight your way out of here, or they're going to take you home on the way to a body bag. So my escalation of rage and anger began to change because I'd seen a lot of my friends, but people that I had made friends with, because I'd been in the country now maybe 5 months. And I was still walking points, and Sergeant Johnson, I still had them. I had Sergeant Cornell Johnson and Sergeant Henderson, Streams and Stalin and all these people I had. We was making it through. It wasn't a lot of my friends being killed at that particular time. And I was losing a few people that I knew, but not people that I would sit down with and talk to with and go over a lot of things with and stuff. And I seen some things like one day we had been pulling this ambush patrol. And we was still up, we had just went into Kontum, and we was going out pulling ambush patrols at night. And we had to go past this bridge. And this guy's Ryan. He's a big guy. He's from Tennessee. He's a big black guy. And light-skinned brother. And he had got a dear John from his girlfriend saying that, you know, she was sorry she had to write him a letter in Vietnam and that she had found somebody else and you know, the whole blah, blah, blah. Nothing good about a dear John. So I asked him what was going on, and he sat down and told me. I said, okay, man, you know, you just stick in the wings, man. So he was a machine gunner, and I made sure machine gunners stayed a little ways because they're a hot nest. And that's who they knock off first. So I made machine gunners and radio operators. I didn't take the care of walking near them, neither one of them. And anyway, we was walking past this bridge, and in the South Vietnam Army, the Arbyns they call them, and was trying to trade. You know, they were trying to trade watches. Or they were trying to trade watches or anything they could, you know. And as we went on out, and Ryan said, man, I don't want to trade, man. I don't want your cheap watches. You know, I like this watch. This is my watch. You know, I don't want none of your stuff. I don't want none of your girls. I don't want nothing. You know, they had a couple of girls on the bridge and stuff like that, and GI used to, you know, go make love to them or whatever. And Ryan was not in the mood. He had just got this thing, and we just sit there because we didn't want. What the reason we was at stay by the bridge, we had stayed there for about 2 hours because like the reason we was there was not to stay at the bridge, but then was just like, but when it got dark, we sneak out to our ambush location where we was gonna go. But anyway, these guys kept on battering. Just kept battering, kept on saying, because watch out, he had a real nice watch, you know. And so it got time for us to move out. I guess we had got about 50 yards out. And then one of the VCs stood up on one of the bunkers. Not VC, but Auburn. Stood up on a bunch and called us stupid. He said, you stupid Americans, you over fighting our war for us. Look at y'all got to go out there and fight Charlie. And we sitting back laying all this girl, boy, and y'all stupid. And something must have hit him, right? And it must have hit him real bad. Got inside his feeling, got inside his girlfriend. I don't know what happened. He turned around with that 6 machine gun, cut loose about 50 rounds on him. And all you could see was just cutting that little VC, like I said, little Auburn just fall on, even after he fell into the water. Ryan just kept shooting until I went up and knocked the gun back from him. Hey, man, come on, hey. You can't do that, man. You can't do that. He said he shouldn't have said what he said. And which I understood, you know. And these are the things that, you know, a lot of people don't like to disclose about Vietnam. This is when we used to do some weird things, you know, like, I see all the stuff they talk about in the movies and how they do certain things. But this is what we did. I said, you know, I got all my guys. It was about 8 of us. And I got them all on us after we got pretty close to the ambush site, and I pulled them up, and we got kind of a circle so I could talk to them, and we'd make a lot of noise. Because at this time, I was squad leader. I said, man, did anybody see that way out back there on the bridge? And streams being on where I was coming from. He said, I ain't seen nothing, so I don't know what you're talking about. I said, I ain't seen nothing either. And so all the guys, they ain't seen nothing. So that's just you guys. That's the decision y'all want to make. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. So we went on and pulled our ambush that night. No activity. We didn't have nothing. So as soon as we got back to base camp, we got to fill out my report. And here I go down to the commander's office. Right past the sergeant. Sergeant asked me first, you got to go see the commander about something happened down at the bridge last night. But, okay, so I go to the commander and say, what happened? Thomas come to me, he said, what happened to the bridge last night? You guys cut loose on the wrong people down there. I said, well, I don't know what you're talking about, sir. You know, we was on ambush. What time did all this happen? And he told me what time it happened. And I said, well, you know, I don't know about nothing, but I heard some firing after we got about 1,000 clicks out. Where we was, you know, we get ready to set up. We was just getting ready to set up. We heard some rounds go off over there. What happened? Don't know nothing. Butt it up. He looked at me. Sergeant, you can come clean. I said, look, sir, you can talk to my people. You're like, I don't know what he's talking about. So they did. They went around and asked everybody. Everybody sticks to the thing, and they squashed it. It lasted about just that day. I ain't heard no more to this day until I'm talking about it right now. I ain't heard no more about it since. You know, it was just one dead person talking to the wrong person at the wrong time. And I remember that life was very cheap there. You know, the guy's got a dear John, you're going to tell him you're over here defending a person and supposed to be defending the country. He's going to laugh at you because you're helping him, you know. I don't think he took that too lightly. So that was just one less South Vietnam army. We should call them lazy because we could never understand how that the North Vietnam Army, the regular army, and the Viet Cong, they was fearless fighters. I mean, these guys gave us periodics, so they won the war in the end because they kicked us out of there. We ain't in over there now. And I said, how could these people, are the two same people, be such different? Here's a guy that can't defend his country, and here's a guy that we're fighting against. He's worse than we are. I mean, he just as tough as we are. He puts just as much fear in us that probably we do as fear that we put into him. And there's one guy that ain't doing nothing. I never could understand that. Why you got one guy that's been fighting over there for all them years, and they can't defend their country. We over there helping him. He's lazy and don't want to defend his country. And here's another guy that's fighting all the time and don't never give up. Rain, come sun, sleet, no matter whatever over there, they do not give up. So that was the end of that story, but kind of angers me. Our next big operation, we was getting ready to go up near the Cambodia border, near the city of Kon Tum. It sit right on the border about, I guess about 7 or 8 clicks east of Nui Ba Dan. And it was a place where I knew, kind of like when we got there, being old country boy that was, and we coming down, because when you're numb, you see places where the sign of war is. You know, trees uprooted where bombs have blown up places, and just things of, the signs of war that one learns after being in country for 5 or 6 months. You get to see it, smell. And I'm sure we touched down on base. We touched down on the old French base that had been abandoned, but it still has some of the buildings kind of half erected out of the stone and stuff from that area. And I kept telling my son, there's just something about this place here that I do not like, man. Because, I've seen birds singing, I've seen clean water. It was just a place that had too much peace going on in it. And little did we know at that particular moment, we was inside of Cambodia. We was come to find out later, we was inside of Cambodia about 5 or 6 miles. And then the reason for us being there, and have found out later, is because that's how the Viet Cong used to get their supplies. They used to run from China, all the way down from China, through Laos to Cambodia and Thailand. And we was inside Cambodia. I said, man, this place is too peaceful. They had a 10-mile stretch in there. That's one reason I kind of don't feel too sorry about Thailand and Cambodia, because, see, when the Americans was over there, what they did was, it was like a 10-mile stretches on their borders. They did not patrol because of some agreement that they had made with China or whoever they had made the agreement with, that they would patrol up to 10 miles. But those 10 miles, they could run all their supplies down through there. And so our division had been set up to block that. Little did we know, within a period of 2 days, we ran into some situations and problems I have never seen the like of. That was my first truly big battle that I got in. It was up in the area of Kon Tum. And what happened there, they mortared us all night long. All night long they mortared. It was just like 4th of July. We had dug in real deep, and godly. And so the next day, you go to Big Sound, the bomb goes off, and we got to go to this area. We goes into this area. We got, we swept all day long and getting sniper fire guys getting hit with snipers and stuff, because at this time we was in battalion strength. We was no longer in company strength. We was in battalion strength because we was going up against heavy odds. And that first day, we went out and we had to stay out all night long because Charlie had such strength that we couldn't. We had to come back across this big long bridge. And I guess apparently they decided that we would just stay out that night. But the next morning, we didn't pull Elba because, see, they were switching battalion. One day we would go out, the next day the Wolfhound would go out. Then the next day the 2nd and the 14th would go out. These are different battalions. They would go out. And so the next day, showing what the face is, I come back to where I had built this big bunker, huge bunker. And I looked at it, and I said, oh man, there got to be something strange going on in this war, because my bunker was completely annihilated. It had been destroyed, it had been a direct hit. And just thinking, the night before I had slept there, and it wouldn't have been our turn to go out that day, I'd been dead man, because it's like we had made four people to a bunker. There'd just been 4 dead soldiers. And I said, damn, and that was just the beginning of this battle in Khartoum. And that was I think that was probably about to be beginning of Operation Yellowstone, too, somewhere in that area. That was about the same time Operation Yellowstone. I'm quite sure that was an Operation Yellowstone. And then I'm thinking, this is how lucky this was. And the next day we pull out to go get ready to sweep, pull out, sweep, we come back. But when we came back that night, Charlie came back after that sweep, after we got back in from our sweep. Charlie opened up with everything he had. He had rockets. He had 105 houses. Now, they don't call them that. It's not that size, but it's the same size as with us. And then my machine gunner, and where we were at, there was piling up people on the lines. I don't know, must have been at least a good 1,000 killed. And we didn't get overrun, but it sure was. The only reason we didn't get overrun because Puff the Magic Dragon was there. And they kept calling airstrikes all night long. And I could see, like the first time I could see the destruction of what our weapon was like, because we had these, what they call 105 BIs. They're not high explosives. They look something like high explosives, but you could find they like little nails, and they can fire straight at you with thousands and thousands of them coming straight at you, or they can put a charge on the back of the round, and they can fire straight down on the enemy, And later on, we come to find out after going out there and making body counts, we found VC and NVA pinned to trees, and we had to cut down trees the next day to make bigger bunkers. They bring out chainsaws. We cut chainsaw halfway through big oak trees where you could get spark from the chains, because that's how far the round had embedded inside the tree. So that was part of the Battle of Suicut, and it was a battle that I'll never forget. It was as I talk about it now, it makes me real nervous just thinking about it. And sometimes I have real bad dreams about that one particular battle in Vietnam. I gotta hold on that one. As we went out and made the body counts, and that morning and stuff like that, we came back and I looked at my machine gunner. I said, Big Ryan, I looked at this machine gun barrel. I said, dang, man, those barrels look bent. And he looked at me and said, Sergeant Pittman, if you was being red hot and been put fire on you all night long, don't you think you'd be bent a little too? What do you mean? He's saying, I just thought. He said, because I remember that's why you had to change the barrels on an M60 machine gun. And it gets so hot, and you had these gloves that you had to change, but we didn't use no gloves in the Army. We was trained with them, but he just took off his flight jacket and changed the barrels. every time he had to change the barrel, he just left his flight jacket off. I said, dang, that's some crazy stuff right there. But and then we went on. Like I said, we were getting ready to go on ambush when I'm still squad leader at the time. I'm also still walking point. Sometime in danger situations, guys would get scared, and I was kind of like a gun-ho in the sense of what they call me, gun-ho Sergeant Pittman, you know. And I would walk point because I had got confidence in walking point, because in Vietnam I would find that they wouldn't hardly kill a guy that's walking in the front. What they do, they wound you so they could get more flies, so they could get more soldiers to come in and take you off the field, because they knew that Americans will not. That's one thing I do have confidence in my government, this country, that they will not leave. There's all other kind of things that you get killed with. For instance, that night I was walking points, and I guess we had moved in the morning. And it's sometime in the jungle and late like that at night, and have to be quiet. You can't hardly move sometime no more than 300 yards, and the whole entire night just creeping to get to your objective. And I got to this particular crossroad, and I said, this is 4 ways. You know, I had to sit there and think, because ain't nobody close to you to tell you what to do, and I wasn't going to take all that time to go back and tell nobody what was going on up there. That I had come into this fork. It was a crossroad, 2 roads crossing each other. And I said, this is a situation that I'm just going to sit here and sit here. And I sit there, and I had little signals I could get back saying, you know, what was going on, because I didn't have a radio, but I wasn't that far out of distance where you couldn't visually see anybody, but I could make little whistle sound. I just make little whistle sounds. I'd do sounds like that, you know. I'd tell the guys and let them get familiar with that. As long as I'm doing that, about every 15, 20 minutes, they know I was okay. But then finally, man, hey, I saw movement. I was like, hey, what is that? I said, he was creeping. He had been creeping just like that. It took me 300 yards to get up there, and I watched him for about a half hour, 45 minutes. I said, there's one, there's many. And he was doing the same thing I was. He had got to this point, but he was walking on the road. He was crawling on the road. I was crawling parallel. I never walked on roads in Vietnam. I lost too many people. I had learned enough not to walk on roads in Vietnam. You walk parallel to the road, off to the side of the road. And there he was. And I said, I can't fire. If I fire, his other people going to know exactly where I'm at, because he's going to see my muzzle flash. But there's one thing that I always kept strapped on the side of my boot. I always kept my bayonet, my knife, and I always kept it razor sharp. And being a Southern man, I used to keep it so sharp that I used to shave with it. That's how sharp my knife was. Every day of my life when I was in Vietnam, I carried that knife with me, and I kept it razor sharp. No dirt, no nothing on it. That was one of the first things I did in the morning when I got through shaving, and I cleaned it and I put it back in my scalpel. And that's the only thing that I had. I knew that I had to kill this guy. That was I knew I had killed a lot of people before. I had pulled ambushes where I'd set off 2 and 3 claymores. I had been in firefighters where we just fired up people walking alongside the road. I had done that many times in different ambushes that I had pulled. But this was different. This was totally different. Here's the thing is where I got to confront this guy because there's too much to lose. So I just sit. I took my 16, took off my pack, took off my knife. I let him get within about 5 feet of where I was at. And then it's strange how no moon, how dark it is, your eyes, your pupils. Now I remember working in a dark room, how your eyes adjust to the darkness. And I could see, barely see him, but I could see him. Every move, every time he would move on his knees and belly crawl like we do in the military, get one to I could see him every time he did that. I had to watch him so close to find out when he had the right knees, the right place, so I could charge him. I took my knife out of my scaffold and I charged. And when he looked up to me, I hit him, boom, right in his chest. Now when I pulled the knife out, I hit him again. But boom, when apparently I hit him in his lungs, because it was a gas of air that came out of his body and blood shooting everywhere. But I had to keep stabbing him. I just kept stabbing until he was no more movement. I cleaned my knife off on his fatigue and stuck it back in, and I drug his body back off the road, and I crawled, not so slow as I came, because I knew that they was going to be looking for him. He might have had his signal just like I had mine, and I had to move and get back to my people and let them know what was going on. But then he had an axe that I brought with me too. I said, what is this he had? He had it strapped on his back, and I just snatched it off his body when I left. It was a big axe, which I still have to this day. And after that, I started beginning to get insane, like old John Wayne movies. Like I used to take every time I make a kill, and I know that was my kill, I started my name. I started to call my name in each part of the axe. And I think I got up to about 18 scratches on there. It's 18 scratches on there. And one day I said, this is insane. And I stopped doing it, but I know I killed more than 18 people when I was in Vietnam. That's just what I did by myself. And that was insanity. It was a rush, it was a fear, it was like glad to be alive, or scared. I'm supposed to die now. I done took a human life. It's all kind of things and moves and feelings that you go through. And even to this day now, I have flashbacks about that. I have to live with that. And it's something that I want to talk about later on in this book, about how I began and what helped me overcome these type of fears. But right now, that is a different chapter. So it was getting around Thanksgiving time. I remember that we were on Thanksgiving. We had a real good dinner. Like they used to bring out turkey and all the trimmings and everything, and we really didn't have no fire that day. We used to just get in the choppers. That was holidays. It was one of the days you could feel safe in Vietnam, because you would fly all day. They'd fly you, and then they brought you down for lunch, and then we'd ride and come on back in and ride like this for hours, all day long. We'd be just flying all over parts of Vietnam, all in our area of operation. I would say not all over Vietnam, this area of operation. And we'd be seeing the villages, and you get a chance to think about home, and what it was like or what it was like back in the world, we call it. And I remember that I used to sit back and think about when I was a boy living in Mississippi, and I'd moved to California. I could put myself in a peaceful place. Sometimes I can remember where there was a place on my father's property where I used to go and sit after my mother had passed. And it was a spring coming up out of this water, and I used to go sit there. And in hot days at lunchtime, I used to take my shoes off and put my feet in the water, let it cool, and have my lunch and drink the water from the stream. And I could take my mind back in peaceful times and when my family was all together. And I can remember one time I was so far back, I was just like I was there. I was on San Pablo Avenue in Berkeley, and I can remember every street corner, every little tick, where every little store was. All this was to keep my mind in sanity, to put myself back in the world. Even though my body was there, but my mind was so separated from being in Vietnam that I could actually find some calmness in remembering where I had been in my life, and the things I had done, and all the positive things, and what I was doing now was all against the teaching that I had been taught of living. And it was a real hard time for me in Nam. during that time, and like the war was still escalating because, boy, I tell you, right after Thanksgiving, there was never no more peace after that, and we was getting into more fights. It wasn't like it was when I first went on Operation Yellowstone, where we was meeting all the little villages. This time war had escalated where the North Vietnam Army, which was just as equipped as we were, because they had these AK-47s, and I always thought to myself personally, if I had a choice between the AK-47 and a M16, I would prefer any day. I'd take the AK any day, because our stuff used to jam up, and boy, what they could do, they could take our round and use it in their weapons, but we couldn't use theirs in theirs. It was the same thing with the 60. M60 was the same way. M60 machine gun round, or maybe a 50, M50. We could take an M50, he could take an M51 caliber and put it in our weapon, and it would work. We could take his weapon, it was too small, with just 1 millimeter too big or small. I know it wouldn't fit in, but they could take our rounds and use it. It was a versatile weapon. So that they wasn't no more booby traps now. These guys is what we used to call back in base camp. We'd be talking about saying, Charlie is boogalooing in the jungle. I mean, he's killing. He's doing a lot of killing. He's killing up a lot of GIs. He's killing up a lot of people, because they had the war had escalated it in. This is like around, I say, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I mean, it was something going on every day. It wasn't no small stuff. It was people was getting killed, everything, and it was just too much. And also during the same time, like the guys was getting tired. Morale was low, and the squads was no longer big time. You had a squad, then you'd be good to have 5 people in it. A squad is supposed to be, much, much bigger than that. And we was down to like machine gunner. I was even carrying a M16 around. Everybody had to carry M16. It used to be an assistant gunner, and everybody had to carry around. One guy had the radio. Sometimes I even packed my own radio. It was getting that small, and the guy was getting tired, and then we had to put out like now. We was doing S&Ds during the day. We was search and destroy. We was walking online in the day, and then at night we would be going out on ambushes, and then that's when I learned you could sleep upside a tree. You could stand upside, put your back up against a tree, and you could go to sleep. I mean, you wouldn't be really totally asleep, but you would be like, your body would be resting. You don't let your body move at all. You just keep your eyes not even closed, just halfway, somewhere between half and a fourth closed. And your sound, the only thing you would do, your soundness would keen. You would have to listen to sound. Every little thing that moved, your sound, you use all 5 of your senses. The sound at night would be your key for protecting yourself. But anyway, and I had sent 2, 3 guys out on listen patrol. But you always send listen patrol out, you got to give them a radio. And as we was giving radio in so my time to pull a watch, that's the first thing I do is call my people to see what's going on with them out there. No answer. Oh man, what is this? No answer. Are they dead or they what? Rather than asking anybody else like I could do, I could have designated somebody else to do it. But like I said, I had become gung-ho, and a lot of distrust, a lot of feeling. So I had to go out, get myself a 16, test hit 16. It took me about 2 bandoliers of ammo. And I just ease out to them, see where they're, because they can almost see them, because they ain't going to be that far out, But actually, because I went out there, and all of them laid up there asleep. So I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put life in these guys. Put the fear in these guys. They ain't going to never forget that. They ain't going to be going to sleep for a while. I sit there and watch for a while. I had to figure out what I was going to do, and all I do is, first thing I'm going to take his gun, because I got to be safe, because these guys jump up in his form, and they might end up blowing me away. So I took all their weapons, put them all to the side where they couldn't see them. I took my sharp-ass bayonet, and I stuck them all in their ass. Pop, 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 pop. He's jumping up all the way, bleeding in their ass and shit. Get the fuck up. What y'all doing, trying to get me killed? What's up, man? I said, no. Where's your weapons at? They didn't know where their weapons at. They was looking all around for their weapons and stuff. So I sit them down there and I talked to them real low and calm. And from that time, those folks out, then they went back to sleep again, but it was just some insanity stuff you do, trying to stay alive, They walk around limping for a couple of days. They never said anything to me about it either, because they knew they was wrong. They were walking around limping, because I stuck them deep. I didn't stick them like little old pin stick. I stuck them like pop, 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 4 times. Real hard, right in the ass. I looked at all their asses, and I just said, pop, pop, pop. Stuck them real good. And then a couple of them had to go to the medic and stuff like that, but I didn't care about that. And I ain't getting no repercussion from. I ain't never heard from my superiors, and they're still alive. So I didn't feel nothing about it. And about a week later, after pulling ambush patrols, getting a little break in between fire, we was getting still martyred. Nobody was really getting killed too much during that particular week. And then Charlie is knowing this is getting near December, right before Christmas, and we had moved from Khartoum further south. I don't know how far. I think it was a place called Suicut. I can't remember. I think that's what it was called, Suicut. I have to look on my map and see what it is. Suicut, I believe, if I can remember right. And we had Starlight. Starlight is a weapon that we use that it operates off the moon some kind of way, and they were thinking you can look through it at night and you can see it could be really, really dark. It's like an infrared, but it's more better than an infrared, and you can use it. And usually we had one to the company, one to a platoon. I think it was 1 per platoon we had. And we used to look in it late at night to see if Charlie sneaking up on you to see to try to kill. It was raining. Monsoon had came in. It was just a different time, and it started raining, and then it started raining in Vietnam, and it was just never stopped. Monsoon was thick. It was a time, boy, that just like you couldn't keep nothing dry. Everything was wet. You see guys put socks on it. You have 2 pairs of socks, and they put one, strip them right across, and a rubber band that run around your hip, and you put 2 socks, and you keep your feet dry, because we walked in a lot of rice paddies, and then you would be wet all the time. I remember looking at my wallet, and all my stuff I had in there was wet. The only thing I ever kept was my Social Security card. I still have it to this day. It's the only thing I ever had that long in my life is my Social Security card. I keep it in a safe place right now. Because it's not a bad thing. It's just like something I had all my life since I was 18 years old. And that was about one of the only things that never really got damaged. The pictures and all that kind of stuff just get soaking wet. The leeches would come out. The leeches started getting terrible and stuff. But anyway, back to the Starlight, and we was one particular night. And about 5 days later, after this other big battle, and here we are. I'm looking through the Starlight. We throwing flares because we know there's a lot of enemy in the area. Flares go up at will when you call in for a flare. They'd send up a few flares and they'd come down. Charlie was a smart warrior. Victor Charlie of Viet Cong, North Vietnam. He was so smart, this is what he was doing. There's dikes separates, they separate the water. It's like a square. But there's dikes, they up sometime up 2 or 3 feet. And they were shooting these flares, and these flares was going up. And as they was going up, they was landing, they was floating like to the south, I think they were like that. And so what Charlie was doing, he was crawling up to oppositions in the shadows. You could look out in the Starlight, you could see the whole field and everything, but one side of the dike you couldn't see because he was creeping up in the dark shadows on the other side. And I don't know, for some old reason, being an old country boy, I just, I kept the Starlight running because it kept me, the Starlight was kind of heavy, so I watch it all the time. I said, well, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to be So I got my weapon right there in front of me, and I'm just watching. I'm just watching. So I'm watching these base rolls. Something just telling me watch these base rolls a little bit. It's kind of like, I guess, base roll. I'm half dreaming, but I'm watching what I'm doing, watching the wood line, watching everything I can see. And I picked out a couple of things, and I said, dang, I seen that tree done moved a little bit. So when they call up again, I call back in, got on the phone, got on the horn, and told them to drop the meter, drop the flares about 100 meters to the other side of the dike. There he was. Just laying there still. I could see it, camouflage and all. See it, so that's it. I know, and then I looked close to me to make sure it wasn't real close to me. And then I asked him to fire no, and in fact, I had been firing about 15 minutes, every 15 minute at will. And then when flares go off, they pop. And then as soon as that flare went off, I had to be real close. I had to look right down, and there it was. Boom, they was moving. I got on the horn, told him we got shot Victor Charlie. Victor Charlie is crawling up on the side of the dikes. Told him to fire 8 Willie Peter, white phosphorus. And Bravo 6, this is Bravo 350. And the enemy dropped Willie Peter, grid coordinates 0927-528 or something, whatever the grid coordinates we were at. Dropped it in there. Fire for effect. Boom, 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 boom. There go Charlie, flying all over the place. But he was strong. Then he got up and charged. After he got the initial thing, he got up and charged. Now this cut loose, we got that 60. We got still people all down the line that's still awake. Victor Charlie coming in. Now let's haul it out then because the fire was on because they started firing back at us. We just opened up on them. Caught them right in the middle of the rice paddy. Then the Air Force came in and dropped napalm and high explosives. They were so close. We could have about Paulie then so close on me that wife, it singed. It was just singed. Like the face and my hair was white. Now I did like this when you light a cigarette on a stove and you burn your hair. Just see, you could hear my hair frying. I did like that. I didn't care. I said, dang, and I just dropped it the same place again. And then made another run, dropped it all through the wood line. Went through there the next day on a S&D. Still all didn't find too many. Bobby saw parts of leg parts and arms and stuff, but we found blood streams going for miles. They were retreating back to wherever they came from. And people come down there. I was gung-ho, but I didn't care about no medal. Captain come down. Then he said to me, this is Sergeant Beckett. I said, I guess you want a medal for that, Sergeant Pittman. I said, I'm not over here to get no medals. I'm over here to try to get out of here. I don't care about no medals. And I didn't. I still don't care about them, So that was the end of that, That was the end of that story. That was one of the few battles. Some of them I can't even remember. Some of them I didn't write about. I don't know. These are the battles most of I talk about it, I think about and have flashbacks on, have dreams about. If I would probably talk to one of my old friends that I was in Vietnam with, they'd probably tell me about a lot of stuff that we did that I'm trying to forget all about, So there was times too, when things were confused. It looked like sometimes when you just about to get really discouraged and saying this to hell with it, like I've seen so many of my friends and my soldier friends do, just give up. Something would look like would always break for me, like when I was sitting on the field after this battle we just had. I was sitting and I was writing a letter right there. I think it was Sergeant Henderson. Sergeant Henderson, get your gift. Sergeant Pepper, you got to go back to Cu Chi. I got to go to what's going on in Cu Chi. Why I get worried about what's going on? Yeah, I said, hey, I know what's going on, but you got to find out what's going on. I know what's going on, but you go up there, go to command post, and they'll tell you what's going on. So I went up there and lo and behold, they were sending me to school. I said, get ready to send me to school. I I had just gotten a real nice write-up from my newspaper, the Time-Picayune in Columbia, Mississippi, and my sister had sent me a copy of it about me leading platoons in Vietnam and stuff like that, which was pretty nice army, article rather. And they was sending me to NCO school. And you went back there. Well, what it was, the school consists of like a review of all your weapons that you learned, and they give you like map reading. It was about 5, 6 different things. It was a whole week of school, and that was a chance to stay in base camp was just like a vacation. It was like guys, sometimes they were, what would you know? That's why I always ask guys, would you know? They didn't know what it was. It'd be like to be out in the woods every day, out in the boonies, and sometimes never having a bath for a month. Sometimes 2. And it was a good thing. I was able to come back and, golly, I'd go to school in the daytime and, hit the NCO club at night, and I could go to the movies, I could swim, I could write letters. And then about the end of the week, I started feeling guilty because I knew, my friends out there, and some of them was kind of new, and I guess I kind of felt like a mother hen in a way, I felt like I was keeping a lot of guys alive because I wasn't a new guy no more. I was a veteran. And it was sad for me. So I was kind of glad, believe it or not, I was kind of glad to go back to the field because I felt more at home there. Because back there, it seemed like I had it made. Like I don't deserve this. I don't deserve being back here. All the killing and all my friends I've lost. I got to get back to my business of killing. Literally killing people to stay alive. And those are some of the feelings that I have. And it's a very, very, very confusing thing, war. No good, never no good come out of war. The next thing I embarked up on then was that turned my head and then made me feel, like, God, when you're going to die, you're going to die. And this is one day we was sweeping, and my radio operator, I was training a new guy, because I kind of like just like one guy to get. But having be able to be doing more than one thing, be versatile. I'd learned that because this time now I was 26 years old, and I was older than the 19-year-old boy. I had been married, so I kind of like knew a little bit more about life than them because I had 6, 7 years on them. So I lived in the world longer than they had. And so I used to try to be versatile about stuff, And I trained people to do different things. And next thing we were pulling sweeps, and this is still all up around Khartoum. Everything, and Lieutenant Swartz, I remember one time we went out, and for some reason, him and the company commander, the captain, and I couldn't remember his name, really don't want to remember his name, because he was such a poor captain. Maybe he had been used to such a good captain, and Captain Baker from New Orleans. And they got in a fist fight, I was out at the M Club. At this time, I could kind of go like, anywhere, like when I got on the base camp, I could go anywhere I wanted to go, I didn't have to get permission and stuff like that. And so I just went down to the officer club. It was occasionally I would go down and have a few drinks and stuff with them, but I would always make sure I never got drunk or relaxed around them as I would around my own peers. And they got in a big fight, physical fight. He took off rank, took off sweats, and that's really not too good for an officer. And they did it in front of a lot of non-commissioned officers, and they got all out into the barracks, and they was fighting and going on and everything, And so the captain lost, got his ass whooped, got beat up by the lieutenant. My lieutenant was Lieutenant telling this time he's doing court martials. I overheard this, you know. So the next day, we didn't have a little lieutenant there. I don't know where he wasn't in the stockade, nothing like that, but he wasn't gonna be going back out with us. And I had heard this, and I got it through the first sergeant. So I said, hey, you know, this can't happen. So I told the guys in the platoon, I took two of the guys, I think of me, Streams and Stall, and went up and said, hey, man, we can't have this, man. You gotta get, this lieutenant, we done seen what this captain done. He had people digging holes, and for him, while he's sending people out, getting them killed, and he digging a hole, he ain't up front finding out what's going on. He's a coward. And so I said, hey, I'm not gonna let this happen. So I said to myself, if you guys want to go with me, I'm going down. Yeah, we all go down there. So I went down to see the battalion commander, Colonel Simpson was his name. I'll never forget him because he was a good commander. I went down and I told him, knocked on the door. He said, hey, you the leader. He looked up me, and you know, like carrying a rank, and I just put little two balls on little specialist on my specialist 4 on your collar, you know. And sometimes I wouldn't even put it on. And you in charge, you come on inside. But y'all, rest of y'all, we don't need all these people out here. The rest of y'all go on about your business. I'll talk to him. So I went in and sat down. And he said, what happened? What's wrong, specialist people? I said, well, this is what it is. Last time we went out on operations, last time we went outside, our 3rd platoon had more KIAs than anybody in the battalion. Not in the company, but in the battalion, sir. Because we had the big killing, Khartoum and Suikat. And I was telling him what had happened, what the captain had did on occasions when we was trying to get support, and what he had other people there, 2 or 3 people digging a hole for him while he sent people up. And I just told him all kind of things what had happened with him. And so he said, okay. So I go back to my class, and that's all you had to say. And he told me, I told him that. He told me it's okay, be excused. And I left out. Next morning, the first sergeant, somebody went to the battalion commander last night talking about running all that. Don't you know you can get court-martial for doing stuff like that? Don't you know you can get sent to Long Bend? Long Bend is a jailhouse. This is all past Saigon. I said to myself, no, I wasn't going to tell on me either. I mean, if the colonel didn't tell on me, why should I tell on myself? I said to myself, when I used to have this thing, and when I do something I know is contrary to military law and stuff, I would always say, what are they going to do? Send me to Vietnam? I'm already here. What you going to do? Send me to Vietnam? That's what I was thinking in my mind, but I wasn't going to say that to nobody. And so, come to find out that after going through this and then telling everybody wondering who it was, but my platoon knew who it was. They knew it was me. Anyway, I trusted them enough that they weren't saying nothing to nobody about it. I didn't even mention it to them. And come to find out the next day, the captain was relieved, and the 1st lieutenant was our company commander. And that made me feel real good, because I'd got rid of an asshole, and we had got a good company commander, and he got promoted. I became a captain, and apparently this captain had found out that I had done it, so I wasn't going to tell him. I walked right up to him and played those games, this politic game like everybody else do. Oh, how you doing, Captain? He looked at me and turned his head. That's fine for me. I said, I ain't worried about no car. I ain't worried about, I said to myself in my mind, I wouldn't look that way. It was down in my hooch where he was visiting, down in where the non-commissioned officers, hooch is where we go to drink. And I just went to the refrigerator and got me a beer out and sat down there and looked at him. I ain't saying nothing about it. I ain't getting part of the conversation, nothing. Sit there and looked at him. That stirred him down so much that he just got up. I knew he was a coward all the time. He got up and left. I said, yeah, I'm just going to see if he going to... I was trying to really provoke him to see if he going to say something to him. I was going to really tell him about himself. That's how I felt at that time, you know. And then Lieutenant Swasser come up to me saying, it's kind of funny. And I told him what I had been thinking. He said, Pepper, you know, you can get court-martialed for what you did up there. And went down there going to... That's a chance. I know what the rules are. I said, what you gonna do? You gonna send me to Vietnam for helping you out? He started laughing. Yeah. There's some of the stories that, some strange things happen in Nam too. Like sometimes you can be sitting out and just looking, like late at night. I used to love the nights in Vietnam sometimes, because especially if you could get a view of the country itself, and you could be sitting maybe someplace where you could see the sunsets or the sunrise. I have never seen sunsets so beautiful in my life, and never have I seen so many sunrises beautiful in Vietnam. Maybe because I was alive every day to see that, but it just seemed like to me that they was just beautiful. I got pictures of it, and it stay in my mind that, life goes on in Vietnam. They say back in the world. Back in the world. And then one time we got caught. I remember this kid Smitty. He was from Chicago. Him and Kaiser. They was in my platoon. He was coming in on his PZ. And Charlie, open up. Victor Charlie, he's calm. Open up, man. I tell you. And he was just going everywhere. I mean, everybody was falling, dropping and stuff. And we had moved forward even more so towards Saigon, because see, this is in December now. It's getting close to Tech. Because Tech is in February. I think it's the 1st of February or somewhere in there. That was the 1st of the year. And that's when the Vietnamese celebrate their New Year and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, we come in on what they call a hot LZ, landing zone. And Charlie, it was elephant grass. We come in on the elephant grass, and choppers couldn't let you all the way down to the elephant grass. I think it must be at least 15 feet tall. And they can only let you down so far because they don't want their blades to get caught in the elephant grass. Because the elephant grass, once you slip that chopper down on blades hitting that grass, it'll take that chopper right down and kill people. So they left it. Anyway, we jumped out of this thing, boy. It seemed like I said, oh man, we were falling forever until we hit the ground. And then when the choppers left, Charlie started cutting loose across the whole field with his 50 caliber. And godly, that was a hot day. That was a hot day because it was hot and the wind wasn't blowing. And every time we get ready to move to try to get to the wood line, Charlie would cut loose, but at 50. Then Smitty, I remember Smitty was hollering, screaming, I had got all my people. I thought I had got all my people rather, off the field. Not the field, but off the, right, well, it wasn't a rice paddy. It's like I said, it was elephant grass, big, long, seemed like miles of the stuff. And, but it was not too far from the wood line, maybe 100 yards, but 100 yards in the field of fire. And you got to move, and there's no breeze. Every time you move, see, when you move, you got to move the grass. And the top part of the grass moves, and when Victor Charlie saw that the grass would be moving, he would cut loose in that area, And so I had to go, and then I said, where's Smitty? And him and my assistant machine gunner, they got caught out there, and they couldn't haul out, because haul out, they're going to bring things in. So I got all the way to the wood line, and then Smitty started screaming. I guess he didn't give a hell no more. He said, he started cussing me. That's Sergeant Pittman. He ain't shit. He left me out on this field. I'm going to kill him if I ever make it off this field. And so I said, hey, then I took my ammo off. Not my ammo, but my backpack off. Took me 2 rounds, 2 clips. I usually take 2 clips, draw my pack off. Took me two patches of ammo with me, which is about 100 rounds, maybe 200 rounds. And I crawled back out on the field, and I went out there, picked up Smitty, backpacked him, put him on my back. And as soon as I just got up off the ground, Charlie cut loose again. Pow! Hit me right across my back. Cut his belly wide open. But there's a strange thing about this. When I went out to get Smitty, he had got hit in the arm. This is strange. This is really crazy stuff. He had got hit in the arm, But he said he couldn't walk. His legs and his mind somewhere something, he couldn't walk. We could never get him to walk. I never seen him more after that day. But his arm, he had got hit in the arm real bad. But he said his legs was paralyzed. He couldn't walk. And so I had to backpack him. As soon as I got up just enough to backpack and call him just a little bit and just move, just barely move, you know. And Charlie cut loose. Bam! He hit me right and knocked me down, fell down. But the wound was bad. It was hit right across my street. And that's the only, I got Purple Heart for that. And I also, later, that's what I got the Bronze Star for carrying him off the field like that. And I didn't know I was going to get it. It just, next thing I know, there was, go down to headquarters, they got something down there for you. And I went in and I had a Bronze Star. But anyway, I took him off the field. And he was still cussing me. He was cussing me. And you should get me. After I picked him out, took my last chance on my, you know, getting killed to go back out there to get one of my people, he was still saying, I don't like you. I never did like you. And I said to myself, this guy's crazy, you know. It bothered me for a while, too. I just said, why do you want to feel like I was going to leave him like that? And even after I did went back and picked him up, he still thought I was, you know, I guess he had some kind of mindset. You know, when I am walking it and he's saying I wasn't going to come get him, and then he degraded me after I came and got him. I said, this has got to be, but this is Vietnam, anything going on over here, you know. And this time of the year, that was good because it was, this is a little after Christmas when that went down, and then a little after that, and it seemed like every time things would get too hard to bear something like that, when the burdens get too hard, it seemed like Uncle Sam, the government, the United States Army would know when that would be, and then it was time for me to get my R&R. I said, oh wow, my rest and relaxation, and so I went to Hawaii. I got a thing to go to Hawaii, and I spent 7 beautiful days in Hawaii with my ex-wife, and I stayed drunk most of it, but stopped in Guam and got gallons of rum and whiskey and whatever they had to drink. And I came back to normal when I got back. They had moved because it was just in January, the tech offensive had just began, and I went down, half my platoon was gone, it was gone, Ryan was dead, it was hard, I went down, one of the guys that got shot up in a hooch, checking out a hooch, and they opened up the door, and he got shot all blown away they hit him with a RPG round, and put him away totally. And so then this time I started getting new people and stuff like this, and it was like, dude, like I hadn't even been on no R&R. It was just all over again, you know, it's all over again. And then had to train new people all over again, train people. And I remember this one kid from Mississippi, he was a black guy. He was a little younger than me, but he hadn't been born too far from where I lived. And I tried not to get close to people then, because I knew better than, because I'd lost so many friends, but it was just that a poor came up where he was from Mississippi, he was a soldier, and his people were farmers, my people were farmers, he was black, I was black, and it was like a bond that we had, and he was a youngster, you know, and I just I gotta do as much with this kid as I can, try to keep him alive. I was teaching him to walk punt. And as I was teaching him to walk punt, I just, you know, one day he was, you know, as I said earlier in this book, that you don't walk on the roads in Vietnam. You walk parallel to the roads in Vietnam. You walk close maybe, you know, but you don't get up on the road. And I was cussing him. I was calling him all kinds of names, and guys get up, and you know, but it wasn't personal. It was just something to make it stick in his brain. Don't walk close to it. He was trying to find easy, because some jungle is so thick that you can't, you know, you don't want to go through that hardship of, so if you get close to the road, where the road is nice and easy walking, you can walk easy, you ain't got to struggle. But if you're walking in the bush, you got to struggle, the heat, the bugs, the ants, and all that is eating your butt up. If you get close to the road, you won't eat, but it's dangerous. So the thing about walking close to the road is dangerous because they put mines on the road, they ambush you in the clear, you ain't got no cover, and it's just terrible stuff. And I told him, I said, man, get away from the road, man. Get away from the road. And finally, he just moved on away from the road. I guess he must have took about he walked maybe another quarter of a mile, maybe. And he stepped on an anti-tank mine. Bam! Just smoke, dust. Everything in his leg hit me in the face. It hit me in the face. I got a big scar right up underneath my nose, right above my lip. One reason I keep a big mustache. It's a big scar where his leg hit me and busted it all loose under there. And I could feel that cold blood from his body. As quick as that was, just bam, and it hit me. And then I wiped my face, and that his blood was cold and thick. It wasn't even running. And it was like, and that's when Sergeant Johnson came up and walked on. Because I lost it. I was sitting there, and I was just like, Sergeant Johnson came up behind me and put his hand on my shoulder and said, move it out, soldier. Move it out. Because they had come and took the remains of his body, and I was looking up in the air and seeing his body being taken away in a body bag. And I'm trying to make the best decisions. Sometimes it's never the right decision. Maybe if I'd have just stayed quiet for another second, 2 seconds.